In this video, I'm going to tell you how to accelerate your language learning skills in just 5 easy steps so you could reach your language learning goals faster than ever. Hello everyone, my name is Sean, et je suis un gars qui parle le français depuis 9 ans et je le parle couramment. And today, I'm going to teach you 5 ways to improve your language learning skills, to accelerate your progression, get over any difficulties or plateaus you may be struggling with at the moment with languages, and we'll start with number 1. So getting right into it with step number 1 is consistency. As with anything in life, you have to be consistent to improve, accelerate your progression, even if it's just a slow parabolic growth. One of the biggest tenets in this book, by the way, Atomic Habits, if you haven't heard of it, great book. That's one of the principles in here. And basically with consistency, just to make an analogy, let's say you go to the gym. You work out your chest, your legs, your shoulders, whatever it is. It's a muscle that you have to continually challenge and work out and progress, and over time, you'll get stronger, and those previous workouts that you performed become easier. With language learning, the muscle that you're essentially training and challenging is your brain. And if you don't challenge your brain consistently enough, you will not improve in a language, you will plateau, and inevitably begin to forget what you learned. And so you may be wondering, well, okay, I know I need to be consistent, but how can I do that? So the best way I've learned is to really find topics that you're interested in your target language. Let's say, for example, you're really into photography, and let's say you want to learn French like I did. You could look up various videos in French about photography. So that way, it's 2 birds with 1 stone. You could learn more about a certain topic, or even just immerse yourself in that topic while practicing your target language. And this could be articles, this could be YouTube videos, this could be really whatever you're interested in a less rigid and structured way. Learn your target language and also learn more vocabulary and topics related to that subject of interest that you enjoy. Okay guys, so jumping right into step number 2 is immersion, or immersing yourself. And there are many ways to do this. It could be, speaking with people in your target language in person or virtually. It could be, once again, going back to watching videos, reading things, writing, just really taking in as much content or as much of the target language as you can in a short amount of time. And that'll once again accelerate your language learning growth. Because in my opinion, there's 4 key components of learning a language: reading, writing, speaking, and hearing or comprehension. And you really want to target those 4 language learning components and immerse yourself in each of them. Sticking on the topic of immersion, there are 2 things that I've done throughout these almost 9 years now of learning French that have significantly helped me improve my language learning skills and also stay active in the immersion process of the language. The first one, which I did a lot more when I was starting out and as a beginner, is literally taking post-it notes. I thought I had some behind me, but I guess I moved them. Is taking post-it notes and writing the word in your target language on physical objects or things in your room or your house. So, for example, I have this book right here. I would just put on a post-it note on it, le livre, which is the book. And that way, whenever I am looking at it or I'm about to read, I will have the recall of the post-it note telling me what the word is, and obviously you have the objects, you know what it is in your native language. And it's just a quick way to create a connection between the object and the word by having the physical translation on the object. Something that worked great for me, may work for you, definitely recommend it. Once you get a little bit more advanced in the language, if you're not a beginner, if you're kind of plateauing and that's why you're watching, if you haven't done this already, I would strongly recommend switching your phone or any devices into your target language. It is a great way to be fully immersed. I mean, let's be real. We're probably on our phones at minimum 1 to 2 hours a day. So even though it's not actively learning per se, you are physically going through your apps, going on different social media, messaging people, whatever. You have your entire phone now in your target language to now have so many new words that maybe you've never even thought of. Like, let's take one, for example, settings on your phone, les réglages. That is just a word that honestly I had not known until I even looked at my phone and started tweaking settings. It's just you could learn so much new vocabulary just seamlessly on your phone. Let's say you're going into a weather app. You see that the weather conditions are a bit different today. You want to see what the weather is, and there's a new word there. There's l'orage, which is the storm. It's going to storm today. Another word you may not have known, but now it is on your app, and you could recall it because you were just going through your day, and it's a new word that came into existence for you because it's something you had to know for the weather, and it's part of your daily life. So the actions you take on your phone are usually going to be quite consistent on your day-to-day basis. And now switching your phone into that language of interest allows you to immerse yourself and continue to recall or learn new words in your target language. You may be asking yourself again, well, okay, Sean, I live in the middle of Utah and I want to learn Japanese. And there is nobody around me that speaks Japanese, at least as a native or fluently. That makes sense. It's quite, geographically unfortunate if that is your target language. However, there is a beautiful thing called the internet. And if you have a computer or even a phone, and if you're watching this, you probably do, there are many great ways to immerse yourself in your target language wherever you are in the world. And I'm going to tell you a few in this next point, which is step number 3 of using the right resources. So here we go. All right, I thought I'd film this part outside because it's a beautiful fall day, so why not? For using the right resources, some of the apps that I've used throughout the past 9 years learning French, I'm going to name a few for you guys, that have really helped me with the immersion piece I was talking about before, and also just even fostering connections with native speakers. So the first one is called Hello Talk. There's also a newer one called Tandem, and both these apps are ways where you could talk to native speakers in your target language in real time. And the great thing about both of these apps is that instead of just having message chains or voice recordings that you could send to each other, you could actually create corrections in line with the messages that you send. And also, let's say you're sent a voice recording by the person you're speaking with, the app will actually transcribe what they sent to you. So in case you missed something, not sure what they said, you could now see that transcription in your target language or your native language. So it's a super efficient way to create immersion, talk to locals about day-to-day things, topics you're interested in, a lot more fluid conversations than your typical homework assignment if you're doing traditional classes, which, once again, I don't find to be very effective. Continuing on the topic of Hello Talk and Tandem and those immersive apps with locals, just a personal anecdote that I could share that I think will really bring some life to the value of these apps is there's actually somebody that I met virtually through the apps that I had corresponded with for several months, and it just turned out that I would be in the same area where they lived in Strasbourg, France for the winter. I was doing a trip there and we actually met up, and that's just proof that these apps could really foster these genuine connections with locals. And of course it's not the most common, not every person you'll speak to will turn into meeting up with them in person, but it's really a great way to immerse yourself once again and have just a one-of-a-kind experience with a foreigner in the language you'd like to learn. Okay guys, moving to step number 4 is creating realistic expectations. This doesn't only apply if you're a beginner, you could also be intermediate or even advanced in your target language, but creating expectations to reach your next goal is crucial to making sure you stay on the path to that goal. And one great way I love to do this could almost tie back to the first part of consistency, is creating micro goals to your higher level goal. Let's say, for example, you're looking of more of a structured goal and you want to reach B1 on the language framework of an intermediate level. And let's say to hit that, you need to know X amount of words of a subject. You need to be able to speak about that topic for 2 minutes straight, blah, blah, blah. Instead of having this monstrous goal, as it may be perceived by you at first, try to break it down into smaller parts. As in, okay, my first goal is going to be learning 10 words in this topic of interest and being able to speak on it for maybe just 30 seconds to start. Creating these micro goals by breaking down that larger expectation and goal that you'd like to achieve is a great way to stay consistent. Once again, going back to that first part, but also achieving those goals and reinforcing positive emotions associated with that target language to motivate you to continue going and achieving bigger and better goals moving forward. Okay guys, last but not least is step number 5, making mistakes. As counterintuitive as that may sound, making mistakes is ultimately what helps you grow in the language learning process. When you make a mistake, you have a very small failure, which allows you to learn and then take that learning into growing and improving in the future. So whether you are speaking in person with someone or using one of the language apps that I referenced earlier in the video, it is really important to be bold, put yourself out there, take a risk, for lack of a better word, and say something that may be incorrect. Maybe you wrote it wrong grammatically, maybe you used the wrong expression or mixed up a word. Yes, the person will correct you, and it may seem a bit awkward. They may even chuckle a bit, not at you, but just with you as a funny misunderstanding. But that's how you learn, and we'll just continue to improve, as I mentioned before. This key component of being okay with making mistakes and putting yourself out there, coupled with all the other parts that I mentioned before, is what I believe will really make or break your language progress, and also the speed at which you will learn your new language or not. Alright guys, so before I leave you, I actually have one more quick bonus tip. This one may be a bit controversial. This bonus one, on top of all the other 5, is sticking to learning one language at a time. Once again, I realize this may be quite controversial, and I bet there are many people out there that could learn 2, if not 3, if not 4 languages at a time with major success. But I think this could especially speak to you, especially if you're more of a beginner in your language learning journey, how to learn a language, what certain methods work for you within the steps in the framework I listed out before. Being able to focus on just one thing and devoting all your time and attention to it will ultimately speed up your progression much faster than having to juggle 2, if not 3 different languages, different processes, potentially different grammar, different writing systems. Could be, all over the place. It's just a lot better to focus on one, get to the level that you're comfortable with, and then once you have a solid foundation, or maybe you wait until you hit quote-unquote fluency, then you could take on another language that may as well be better paired grammatically and with writing styles or colloquialisms that could actually speed your progress up in that third language when you already have a background in that second one that you finished learning for the time being. Hopefully that makes sense. Stick with the one language and it will accelerate your growth, pretty much guaranteed. Alright everyone, so those were my 5 tips for accelerating your language growth and processes moving forward on your language journey. I truly wish you guys all the best wherever you are in your journey. Beginner, intermediate, advanced, first foreign language, second, 10th. And with that being said, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.